Right here I've got some of the samples from the Smithsonian, and some of these have some fossil plant fragments in them, for example. And my student, those are some leaves. They often, many of them look like blades of grass. Well, what I get to do with this kind of research is to teach my students how to use this microscope, a polarizing microscope. And in doing so, it's more than just teaching them. They're actually working on a research problem. And so I am able to have them help me on this big research project, which the Smithsonian is very interested in, because this big fossil tree crown is being prepared for exhibit. So not only is the student helping me with a research project that is of interest to a lot of people, but the students also learn a very important skill as a geologist, which is the study of rocks in thin section. So a student that works with me has the opportunity to come in and look at many thin sections and work with me in identifying what's in them. And the great thing about them, it's sort of like a Christmas present or a birthday present. You never know what's in them because every rock is different. So every time I get a new thin section, it's like going, well, let's have a look and see what we've got. And we're the first people who've ever looked at a thin section of that rock. And so we have to figure it out. So it's solving a new problem every time you get a new thin section. There's no answer key. There's no back of the book answers to look at. And so that's a very good skill, because at this level as an undergraduate, many students are still thinking that, oh, there's always an answer, and I just need to figure out what that is. Well, there is an answer, but there's not necessarily an answer key. Those I've got right here. Okay. And so core samples are obtained in the search for economically important resources in oil and gas, mineral deposits, and mining companies, oil and gas companies are, for various reasons, will in their drilling operations will collect core, and then a geologist like me will look at it. Right. One of the things that a geologist does with a core sample such as these here is to cut them on a diamond saw and then make a very thin slice that we call a thin section. And I can show you what one of those looks like. First of all, we take a piece of the rock and cut it into basically a rectangular shape, and that will fit on a microscope slide such as this right here, and it gets glued onto that microscope slide like that, and minus all the writing. And so this side, we would glue that side right there. And so those grains that you can see there, perhaps, those are sand grains. That would be glued with epoxy, and then again using a diamond saw we would trim this off. And I have some finished ones here. These are now ground down to about 30 microns thick, which is a very, very thin slice of rock. And at that thickness, many of the minerals become transparent to light. This is the setup that is used to analyze a rock in detail in thin section. So the light passes up through the thin section, and I look up here and I'm recognizing different minerals and different characteristics of the rock, different fossil grains, different cements, all of the aspects of a sedimentary rock, which is what these cores are all.